Greetings, everybody. This is kind of weird because I can't really see myself, and I'm feeling what the teachers have been feeling. It's weird talking to a computer screen only and not necessarily seeing faces. But again, thank you all for joining me or joining us. I just want to be here to serve your children and by extension serve you all. And that's why I was so willing to just do this when Mr. Davis and Jessica asked me. At any rate, we do have some outcomes here. We do want to simply create a 9th grade affinity group via Zoom. I want to clarify any questions that you may all have around the weekly schedule, especially asynchronous time.
Mommy, give me the thing.
I want to share resources for students and you all that are struggling emotionally, academically, or whatnot technologically, although it seems like the technological issues have kind of tailed off this week. Share some information related to extracurriculars, and like I said, answer any questions you all may have. It's going to move fast. Like I don't want to talk the whole time. And so if you have any questions, just hold them or ask them later. And like Mr. Davis said, we will be sharing this with you all. Here are the norms that we hold as the 9th grade and the 9th grade team. So I'm sharing you, again, these are what holds, the teachers are very, very mindful of the norms and deeply care about your kids. One thing, so again, assume and bring good intent. You can assume greatly that the teachers hold that one. For myself today, I'm going to meet people where you are. I want to be flexible, and again, that's why I'm here at this time. If you want to choose one to put in the chat, please feel free to do so. I'll give you about 30 seconds. If you want to say one or say it out loud and choose one out loud, feel free to do so as well. Thank you for taking space and making space, Ms. Glass. Hey, Ms. Cavilla. I always say your name wrong, but I know who you are. Thank you for assessing your own understanding, Ms. Campos. I missed the first name. OMG. Please excuse me. I do have to plug in my battery. At any rate, let's move on. So we're going to talk a little bit about the schedule. And excuse me. I know I sent out something recently. in the newsletter saying this was the final schedule, and there was a question mark or a ... for a reason, because I kind of I knew it wasn't the final schedule at that time on some level. It was all dependent on the MOU. At any rate, in looking at this schedule today, there's advisory. I'm kind of want to address some of your questions by looking at this schedule. Advisory and what its purposes are for. The kids are really, teachers, some are using those in different ways. We tried to get the 9th grade teachers to all do a similar schedule, and they were, some wanted to do, hey, I'm comfortable doing it this way. But again, advisory is just opportunities for teachers to connect with your kids socially, emotionally. It's an opportunity for them to play games together and do community builders with each other and just check in around any issues they're having. It's community. It's an opportunity for community. During the school year, if we were in person, advisory would be ideally used for kids used to remediate any grade issues they may have or any issues they needed to clarify or correct it with a classroom. At any rate, period one, what the recent changes are. Any questions real quick about advisory? Please hold on to them till after the presentation. Again, I don't want to talk too much, but again, the changes that we are bringing. Somebody needs to mute themselves. All right. The changes that are recent are basically we extended the periods from 50 minutes to an hour each long, especially during the FaceTime hours or the sync learning. We did this because we have to meet a certain threshold of instructional minutes daily. And again, I think I said at the beginning of this, we've been building a ship as we fly. This is an unprecedented situation, and again, unfortunately, the lack of an MOU has created this situation. But that's OUSD. I'm a former OUSD student as well as a parent, and it's always been some sort of level of craziness. So thank you for joining us. Moving right along, period 3, also an hour long, same thing. So these are the 2 hours of FaceTime that kids have to be with teachers. We need that advisory 30 minutes to meet our synchronous thresholds. Now, what is new and what you guys aren't seeing on the schedule is this part right here. And this is how we hope teachers are going to use asynchronous time. I'm meeting with the 9th grade board tomorrow, and there are a lot of questions about how to use asynchronous time correctly, because what I get a lot of emails about right now is attendance. Oh, my child was marked absent, and my child was present, and my child did this assignment. What I'm going to ask the 9th grade team to do tomorrow, ideally, is that we actually have our 9th grade kids check in at least for attendance purposes during their async time, at least for roll. And what some teachers are doing, or what one teacher is doing that I really like, is Dr. Augustine is, he's saying, hey, if a kid is on top of their work in period 5, and here's an assignment for them to do, but if they're not on top of their work, I'm going to keep them for this time, and I'm going to actually help them to catch up with their whatever work is missing. So that can be done in one-to-one, in a one-to-one situation or a small group situation. Some teachers, again, me, myself, in holding Mr. Okeke's class, I've been asking teachers, hey, asking the kids, here's your assignment for asynchronous time. I need you to check in on a stream. That's just because I'm busy and I'm not going to necessarily, I don't have the time to take roll like that. Again, it's under discussion. I know Janice House will probably do roll because Dr. Augustine is the lead. And as the lead, I do expect his teachers to follow his lead on how they're taking roll. But we're going to have one of 3 ways. I'm going to suggest 3 ways if we don't come to an agreement, which is roll call during that time, or checking in on the stream, or by answering a question on Google Classroom. Now, something is coming down from the state, and teachers are going to really have to make sure they're doing assignments, because the state is going to check asynchronous assignments. They want to see what teachers are assigning and ensuring that teachers are making good use of this time for funding. So again, expect teachers to beef it up, especially as they get more used to how this time is going to be used. I know in my first week of doing Mr. Okeke's class, it was out of sight, out of mind. And then after okay, this is what I have to do. Moving right along. Any questions about that later, feel free to ask. No 9th graders are taking dual enrollment this year. They're all full, but make sure your kids sign up for it this year when we pick classes for next year. Again, I saw that question, but again, we're going to save those questions for later. Accessing classes, if they can't access this class, this is kind of, last week I was getting so many emails about my kid can't access the class. Well, on Wednesday we said, teachers, we're going to ask that you guys please put all your links to your classes on the Aries student portal. It should be a one-stop shop for the students. They shouldn't have to have multiple places. This isn't the best example because Ms. Dallas doesn't have hers up, but again, most teachers, if not all, have their Zoom links or their Google Classroom links accessible through their Aries student portals. And some teachers prefer Google Meets. Some teachers are preferring Zoom. Depends on what they like to do in their classes. Again, if your kid misses a class, I said nothing for you all to do. Again, the reality is we want to teach your child to advocate for themselves in these situations. They're in high school, and while some kids can't do it, some kids can. So talk to your child about what happened, but have your child email the teacher about the matter. And then they should CC both you and myself in the address bar, just to kind of, hey, if something doesn't happen, then hey, we have this record and whatnot. And the teacher should clear the absence with an absence correction form. Again, there are still some teachers that have a lack of understanding about that. I was having a discussion with the teacher this evening saying, hey, no, you marked that kid absent last week, but they turned in that assignment. You have to go back now and you have to clear that absence. And what I'm working on, or what we're working on as a staff, and this is OUSD, it was bigger than us, but the reality is I don't think attendance should be connected to turning in coursework. And that's why the roll call thing during asynchronous time is going to be very, very important. Looking at attendance data this week, most of the absences are during asynchronous time, because there's a lack of understanding for kids about what to do, and the teachers around what to do for those kids that don't show up and when they turn in the work. Moving along, academic services. So again, just know that your teachers, the house system is doing its work for your kids. But do stress to your kids communication. And like I said, if your kid can't do it, you're welcome to advocate for your kid. If they need support, if they're struggling with anything, let the teachers know. The 9th grade team of teachers all understand the importance of the 9th grade transition year, okay? The data shows that kids that don't do well in 9th grade, they don't tend to do well in grades 10 to 12. And so we understand it. We are a springboard to student success in high school. So let us know whatever issues are going on. The teachers are meeting right now to discuss children. Hey, wait a minute, I haven't seen that child. Who's reaching out? Who's doing what? And again, there was an email from his teacher today. He said, I cracked the code. I know what to do. And it was like, all he said was, I called parents and told parents, I need those children to come to me for one-to-one or small group support to get their work done. And magically, all those kids got their work done. Well, 6 out of the 8 did. At any rate, if that doesn't work, if they can't coerce your child or get your child to come, they'll reach out to you. If that doesn't work, they'll reach out to me and counselors for support, and we'll start making efforts to re-engage your child. There is math tutoring services that are coming soon. I'm going to move through this because I see time is ticking too, but we do have Algebra 1 tutoring for our kids, and PTSA is looking into virtual tutoring. Now this I'm showing because, again, some families are wondering, like, how does my kid stay connected? And I'm going to move through these very quickly. But every Tuesday and Thursday, there are advisory announcements that are reviewed in advisory. And they share information about clubs, social events, community events, and everything. So again, I'm going to move through and you'll get a picture of what your kids should be seeing in their advisory classes every day, with links for them to go to. Okay, so if they're really interested in something, and again, just encourage your kids to try something new. I mean, we're living in a pandemic. This is all brand new. But anyway, more information. I would hope that the teachers are asking the kids to read this just for engagement. Anybody want to read this? Yeah, see? Anyway, debate team still exists, First Gen Club. I've encouraged my son to write an article for the Scribe. Encourage your child to do one, or they can do perspectives from the 9th graders during the pandemic, something of that nature. They have photographers, artist roles. And then the students also have an option of adding are submitting for an announcement. It gets vetted and whatnot. There's also more social connections, and all this information that I'm sharing is also available on the website. This social website, I shared this in the newsletter a couple of weeks ago or last week saying, hey, this is a social media website that's moderated by a tech teacher that wants your kids to get connected to all these outside activities. And she has been bent on this since coming to Oakland Tech. And so I'm so happy that she's able to push this and focus her energies towards this. And this is the right time. So please encourage your children to take advantage of these opportunities. Again, this is all on the website. We are going to have club opportunities soon. There's just a process that involves leadership and student council that's kind of tedious. It slows it down every year. I think clubs aren't, the first club day actually is in like October during a normal year. And then extracurriculars, I know families have questions about sports and whatnot. Hopefully, if our pandemic rates go down, infection rates go down, and numbers go down, there will be a season. You all can read, but students will only get to play one sport this year, potentially, but they can also play for their outside house team if necessary because of that fact. I will say this much, if it doesn't happen, and I've seen this, and maybe I'm talking a little off the side of my neck, but if there is a group that is participating, and they were participating under the guise of Oakland Tech, and we ask that that stop because there should be no athletic or club events under the name of Oakland Tech auspices due to legal reasonings or legal reasons due to COVID. Again, social services are all there, you guys. I don't want to, I went over this during every meeting that we've had, the community meeting in July, the pre-meeting and whatnot. Yeah, in April. Anyway, these are services for your kids. If your kid, and this was part of the advisory too, if your kid is having a problem, they can reach out for support. If you need support with your child, or you feel like they're, some teachers will bring the RJ into their class for Zoom and whatnot, just to try to open it up. The kids don't like it though. We did ask the kids would they like to use advisory for RJ, and they were like, no, we don't want to open up. We don't want to get all like that and share feelings with each other. So, okay, maybe adults just like it. Anyway, Techniclinic, this also is a service offered to your kids. Again, it's confidential. If they go, you can't call the Techniclinic and be like, what did my kid see you for? Sorry. To pay services, if your kid is doing something they shouldn't do, again, just reach out and we can get you services. College and Career Center. Parent engagement, please take advantage of these opportunities when Ms. Carter Kelly shares them. She is a successful tech parent, has 2 kids that went through tech. I rely on her when I have issues with my son. Again, just extra support to help you dealing with teenagers who are extra emotional at this time of their lives. And at that point, I want to stop and I want to give time for the breakouts. And we can return to the Q&A. Well,
Reverb.
Let me get off the, I'm on 2 lines. Let me.
Yeah, if you can mute one, that'd be good.
Oh, I just want to power off.
All right, sounds good too.
Okay, that was very helpful during the breakout rooms. I could be in 2 places at one time. I did answer some of the questions that were asked by people or that were shared by people beforehand. And those are all generally answered on the PowerPoint. Let me share the PowerPoint and then maybe folks can look at those. And then honestly, I don't want to just repeat myself, sorry. But if I have, I will. But that's the PowerPoint, and hold on, let me just share it with, don't ask, hold on, let me share it with everybody, I'll open it. change. I want to change link. I want to say anybody. Anyone with the link can view it.
And if we
We
don't
also
get to all your
do
questions
slides
today, which we might not,
and the answers will start on slide 30 if you want. And if you want to start taking questions, Miss Salikov, Yael, please feel free to. I'll let you run it from there.
okay. Were you going to share the Q&A on the screen, or is it just for people to click into? I was a little
I
confused.
can just click into, and
Okay,
then
great.
I'll just, for those who had questions beforehand, your questions have been answered on the PowerPoint, so feel free to go look at that.
Great. And then there's some, Mr. Price, there's some new questions in the chat. One question is, can all teachers standardize class access to be via Aries? Because I think there's some frustrations around the different links that are getting sent out. Your audio is a little choppy, Mr. Price, so maybe can you repeat?
Let me close some windows and see if that helps. And this always happens, and this is what
You're a lot better now. We can hear you better.
As I was saying, OEA did not mandate it, or OUSD and OEA didn't come to a mandated or agreement on preferred platform. I know that Google Classroom is the platform that teachers are expected to use for sharing work at our school. So most teachers should be doing that. As far as Google Meets and Zoom, again, they have their preferences. Some teachers do not like the fact that Zoom is unstable and feel like Meets is very much more a stable place to be. However, it doesn't have the same functionality. So again, we can't mandate it or whatnot. Sorry.
Okay, I think that you answered the question about teachers doing office hours in the presentation and probably maybe in the Q&A as well. So I don't know that you need to go over that again.
If a student wants to see a teacher during office hours, they just need to let them know via email during async time.
Great. So asynchronous time being that afternoon time
Yes.
on the schedule, right?
Yes.
Great.
Help during that time, they email the teacher.
Okay. Where can someone get help if they don't, if they are having trouble with technology?
It depends what type of technology issues. If it's a access issue, it's generally, they should reach out to me and I'll figure out what it is. Like what I do is I'll sign in as a student myself and I'll access the classroom and say, hey, I was able to do it, and make sure that the student is on the right portal and using their right ID and whatnot. As far as like hardware issues, or if they have a loaner, reach out to myself and Mr. Williams, who's our distance learning lead in dealing with technology, and we will work on an exchange of that technology. We'll try to troubleshoot it as.
Oh, Ms. Price, your audio went out. Uh-oh, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay. Again, I'm sorry, my internet is a little funny right now, apparently.
Oh, we can see the challenges with distance learning right here.
Yeah, that's the world right now. I don't know what you heard, but again, yeah.
We just missed the last sentence, maybe.
Yeah, it's got my thoughts a little jumbled and disconnected at this point.
Got it. Well, so there's been a number of questions about attendance and people saying, you know, is there a way for a parent to or a child to notify that they were there before they get marked absent? Also, question about whether class attendance is relying or not relying on roll call.
Excellent. I was saying in our group, or in one of the breakout groups, things are going to slow down a little bit. We just got a notification from the OUSD attendance team saying the way that attendance is being taken is going to be subject to an audit from the state. And so basically what the attendance team downtown is asking teachers to do is to kind of, if a student is engaged, mark them engaged immediately. But if the student isn't engaged, wait until a certain time, like 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock is what the district said, but that's unrealistic and asking teachers to, I'm going to take attendance at 6 o'clock. So I sent an email saying at 3:30, basically check your emails, check your Google Classroom, check any little way that kids communicate with you to see if a child reached out to you before they mark you absent. Because the way it is now is if you mark a child absent, the teachers could go in and change it technically in areas, but now they have to really submit that attendance change form. So again, hopefully teachers do slow down and really wait around attendance, especially around asynchronous learning, which is when most of the absences are occurring right now.
So we've had a number of people in the chat complain that their kid was marked absent and asynchronous when they shouldn't have been. And what I'm hearing you say is that those things will be resolved with time, and that you're asking for patience because there will be. But is there something they should be doing? And again, we're not hearing you now. Try one more time. It looks like you're frozen.
This is Andrea Dooley. I'll just chime in since Martel seems like he's having some technology issues. I think at this point, now that we're in week 5, that if your particular teacher and student are having difficulty connecting around the attendance piece, you should reach out to the teacher directly to say, help me understand what you're doing to take attendance so I can help my student show up. And then also CC Mr. Price, because we have some differences among the teachers in terms of their management of this stuff. They're also struggling with the technology a bit and may not realize, for example, I saw someone say their student wasn't admitted until 20 minutes late. Well, teachers may be juggling multiple, they're looking at their iPad and they're also looking at their computer. They don't even see that someone's in the waiting room. So there's a lot of, it's just not perfect. And you should also remind your students, they should not have any other app open other than the ones that the teacher is asking them to have. So if they've got a video game going or a YouTube or a TikTok going, that's going to use up bandwidth. And it's particularly going to run hard on these little Chromebooks that can't manage multiple applications. So at this point, now that we're in week 5, I agree with Mr. Price that we want our kids to be advocating for themselves, but I also think it's worth it to just say to the teacher, what is your expectation? And how do I get my student to understand that? Because it is a little bit all over the map. They are working to try and get on the same page, but they're, it's still a little bumpy for some.
We're building the ship as we fly, we say, right?
Yeah. So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, again, thank you for stepping in there, Andrea. You've been awesome. Hopefully things get corrected.
You're on mute now on both of your screens, Mr. Price. So maybe you can unmute. There you go.
Unmute.
You're good now. You're good now.
2 Mr. Prices.
Yeah, I'm leaving the computer one alone, and now I'm on the phone. Okay. Any other questions? I'm sorry. Hi, Dr. Gentry.
So, Mr. Price, we're seeing a lot of questions about the lost time in 2 different ways. One is the 2 weeks that were lost, and then also the fact that the kids are only getting 50% of their classes at this point. The question is, are they the essence of the question is there going to be any extra school days, and also are they going to have completed 9th grade by the end of this year?
There will be no extra school days. That was not arranged or negotiated between OUSD and OEA. It is an unfortunate.
You're back on mute. There you go.
People keep calling me on my phone now too, and that's going to get me. Now this is, at any rate, it's an unfortunate effect of the quarter system, and we knew going in that content was going to get cut. And to that degree, I know teachers on the 9th grade team, they got together and determined what was going to be very necessary for kids to learn and what they actually wanted to stress. One thing I used to say last year was less is more. Like, you know, don't necessarily feel like you have to run through a lot. And now, you know, this situation has created, you know, a situation where teachers actually have to do less because of the time constraints. Now, I do know one teacher I was talking with today, he said, I'm going to provide extra credit opportunities for my students that are doing well. So those students can move ahead and do the regular curriculum that would have been done during a regular year if they choose to. He said he was going to have those kids do it asynchronously and offer it to them, and just by not even taking roll. And I said, no, you take roll still with those kids, and then offer that extra credit for those kids, that extra work, and then also pull on those kids that haven't done their work and help them catch up on work. Yeah, but it is an unfortunate consequence of switching to the mini masters. We're doing, and they're getting, they're getting 18 weeks, you know, instead of 36 weeks in some cases, and that is unfortunate. But again, education isn't always about what's in that book. It's also about learning about life and learning about yourself and finding that inspiration and motivation from within as well.
Mr. Price, we're getting a number of questions and complaints about teachers not having a stable internet, and there's questions about whether the district is helping teachers acquire better internet connections.
The district to that end is, we're in OUSD. You all, like I said, I went to OUSD. It was broke when I was a kid. It hasn't changed one iota as an adult, unfortunately. No, but to that end, that's why OUSD has told teachers, you are welcome to come to campus every day and do your work and use the internet there. And I'm sorry for leaving campus. My intent tonight, if I was hosting, was to stay at school. But since Sam volunteered to host, I was like, oh, I get to go home. And my bandwidth isn't quite as good, right? So yeah, teachers have that option.
So I just want to chime in, if you guys think about this. The internet companies also have not extended bandwidth during this time. They're trying to get more for less. And so with more people on the internet right now, Xfinity hasn't increased anything. And so, you know, they're giving hotspots, but they're also not providing the bandwidth that's necessary. So, you know, we might as a community want to like send out some letters to AT&T and to Xfinity saying, hey, you know, this is our situation. We really need you guys to expand some bandwidth. You know, they will send out something saying, oh, you want faster internet? Here, pay another $25. You know, and people don't have that to do. You know, they don't really have the money to do that. So that's another part of the situation.
Right on, Dr. Saleh. For those that don't know, Dr. Saleh works at Oakland Tech. She's the pathway coordinator. She assists with servicing all of the pathways at Oakland Tech, including the 9th grade around the Measure In process as well. So, yeah.
Dr. Saleh, if there's anything else you want to add about other topics or topics we haven't covered that you think might be useful, this would be a great time to do that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing about the attendance. Like once the teachers can't go back and adjust attendance, they like complete a form and they send that to the attendance clerk. So Mr. Price was right. Scholars have to advocate for themselves saying, hey, remember I sent you a note, but my attendance hasn't been changed, because then the teacher needs to complete the form and send it in.
Yeah, and it's a battle, you guys. I mean, we unfortunately used to have to, we were battling last year with teachers around taking attendance in school. So again, we're going to get it together, and again, just know that the 9th grade team is doing its best to serve your kids as best as they can.
Just something we really appreciate it. We really appreciate. I see 2 more questions, and then I see an excellent question, which is where we're going to go next, which is about when we're going to meet again. So before we get to that question, which I think is a really important one about how we can all stay in touch and keep informed, there were 2 more questions I saw, and I'm sorry if I missed your question, but one was about if someone's asking, is there, someone asked again whether there's tech support. I think this was covered, and is it in your Q&A, Mr. Price, or maybe we
Tech
can.
support for teachers?
It seems to be maybe for students and families.
No, if they need tech support, they need to email me. There are pickup dates. We still are doing technology distribution on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we're getting ready to actually distribute the first shipment of Oakland Undivided Chromebooks that was delivered recently. Just have to create the plan.
Mr. Price, can I just add, we also, a couple of other areas, we do have some tech support that's within the school. It was previously Phil Williams. He's continuing to work and transition to Rob Moses and sort of bringing him up to speed on some of the systems. That's kind of for the whole school, so it's not, they're very good at responding to individual questions, but they're also trying to keep the whole network going in all of our applications. And several teachers formed a technology working group over the summer and are working to support their colleagues by providing professional development stuff off the calendar, and they have office hours to help teachers. So for example, they've set up a Google Classroom for teachers to be students to learn how to use it and what it looks like. They do Zoom trainings, they do Aries trainings, and that was really of their own initiative. And so that is kind of a backstop, but it is a part of what the professional development team has been working on to help teachers. And they've also set up, teachers are assigning mentors. So for teachers who are willing to accept the help, they're assigning someone who's more familiar with it to kind of guide them and be there. But of course, they are all teaching at the same time, so they can't sit in on classes and that kind of thing. And so they are trying to work on that, but it's not a perfect system yet. So it's a little bit of patchwork, I guess I'm saying.
And it sounds to me like, Mr. Price, you're saying that if someone's having trouble getting onto their classes at this point, they can contact you and you'll either help them or direct them?
Oh, they should most definitely contact me and the teacher. And again, we're going to try to figure out what the issue is. I see a parent saying they can't get on with their Chromebook, and I'm like, please email me. That's Jennifer to everyone who says, we have a Chromebook, we cannot get on to a class. How do I reach them? So please reach out to me. I want to know more about that issue.
Great. Thank you. And there was also a question about whether, and this is going to the point about us staying in touch, but also the kids staying in touch. Is there a way for each house to distribute an email list of all the kids in that house so kids can be in touch? Because it's hard. with them being virtual, not to have a way to be in contact with each other?
I will bring that up to the 9th grade team and whatnot. I mean, it makes sense to have that in this day and age. I mean, being that that's how folks are connecting, and that's, yeah.
Great. So now I think to wrap up, I think we're going to talk about when we want to meet next, and how this was frankly something where a couple parents approached Mr. Price and said, can we have this meeting? And I'm so excited that y'all showed up. And so we would like to continue this, and it sounds like there's other people who want to as well. So Sam, do you want to take it away here?
First, really want to appreciate Mr. Price for just being really open to this meeting and spending a lot of time putting together the presentation. I hope everyone has got the link. Actually, why don't I put it back in the chat one more time, just in case.
I'm going to share it with the webmaster too.
Yeah, it's really a great resource. And it's wonderful to see all the resources that we have at this school, because it's sometimes hard for us to navigate on the website. So this is really, really, really useful. And we will also make the recording of this meeting available to people. So I don't know, Mr. Price, if you would be willing to come back again for another meeting, if people.
No. Yeah, of course.
So I don't know what time frame. Do people think in a month? Is it feeling like we just need something every 2 weeks? I think once a month seems like a good rhythm to me. And if so, you know, I'm happy to help organize that. So if there's anybody who's interested in helping to organize these, it would be nice. You know, I wasn't expecting 70 people, because I think I only got directly to me about 15, 20 RSVPs, but obviously the link went out to all the 9th grade parents. So it's great to have all this interest. And if people are interested in helping to organize, please email me. I'll put my email in the chat. Yeah, I think this is a very useful resource. Any other comments, or people want to chime in about next steps or other ideas?
I don't want to speak for Michelle, who's our PTSA communications VP, because I don't know where she is and she might be mad at me, but the PTSA is interested in starting kind of a chat group for 9th grade families. And I know Sam and a couple of other parents have expressed interest in that. So, you know, hopefully by the next time we get together, we'll have a more specific place we can all come together and ask questions and share information. If you're not already on our PTSA chat group, that is a good place to find out information. I like the Discord idea. I don't know how to use it. My children won't tell me. But please, if you have questions, you can email me at president@oaklandtech.com. You can email Michelle at communications@oaklandtech.com, and we are both happy to help you route, you know, your questions in different places. We have upperclassmen as well as 9th graders, so we're happy to share what we know so far. So thank you, Mr. Price, and to Sam for setting this up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for trusting us with your children.
Yeah, thank you all. And, you know, it's awesome to think of ourselves as the class of 2024. I've seen that on some of the discussions about, you know, the different groups. And that just is a very uplifting and positive thought to end with tonight, of imagining us getting to the mid-20s and the pandemic being a distant memory, hopefully. And we can all look back on this time and remember how we survived the end of the Trump era. So on that note, I will thank you all. And yeah, feel free to reach out and have a good night.
I want to give a shout out to Mr. Price and to Andrea.
Everyone
Thank
give
you
a round.
so much. And Dr. Saleh. Thank you all.
Thank you for moderating. Appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys.
Did have
Bye,
feedback.
Dr. Saleh.
Bye.
Thank you,
We'll do it again.
guys.